Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into a really critical topic for, well, for any of us on the anesthesiology and perioperative team. Local anesthetic systemic toxicity, or ALST.
Hmm.
It's rare, thankfully, but potentially life-threatening, a major complication of regional anesthesia.
Absolutely. The kind you hope you never see.
Exactly. And when it happens, you need that early detection, that prompt intervention. Think lipid emulsion therapy. It needs to be automatic almost.
Right. Speed and accuracy are key.
So our mission today is to look at this fascinating quasi-experimental study. It assessed how multidisciplinary simulation training actually impacts our ability as a team to manage these high-stakes, low-frequency events.
And this is an original article, right?
Yes, it is. It's titled Evaluation of a Multidisciplinary Simulation Training Curriculum for Local Anesthetic Systemic Toxicity Management.
Okay.
A quasi-experimental study using the Kirkpatrick model in India by Pooja Behani and colleagues. We're going to really get into how they set up this training, what they found about improving skills, and importantly, retaining those skills.
Yeah, the design sounds interesting. What really stood out to me was how they put it together. They recruited 12 anesthesia trainees and 8 nursing staff, so a proper multidisciplinary team.
Which is crucial for managing these events, isn't it? It's never just one person.
Exactly. And the intervention itself, it was pretty comprehensive. They didn't just jump into the sim. There were pre-course materials, ASRA-endorsed videos, that's the American Society of Regional Anesthesia folks, cognitive aids shared via WhatsApp, actually.
Oh, interesting use of WhatsApp there.
Yeah, getting the info out beforehand. And then this was followed by the immersive simulation scenarios, done in a properly replicated ORR environment.
Okay, so making it feel real. And how did they measure if it worked? What was the setup?
Well, they used 3 key observation points. O1, that was the baseline, sort of before anything happened.
Yep.
Then O2, which was 1 week after this intensive boot camp training session. And then O3, 6 months down the line, checking for retention.
6 months. Okay, that's a good period to check if it actually stuck.
Definitely. And they applied Kirkpatrick's model for evaluation, which, goes beyond just asking, did you like the training?
Right. It's got those different levels, reactions, learning, behavior.
Exactly. So they looked at participant reactions, their knowledge, and importantly, the team-based skills, both technical and non-technical. They used a modified checklist for that, scored out of 110 points.
Okay.
And they even tried to observe real-world behavioral changes afterwards.
So what did they find? Let's start with the reactions. Did people find it useful?
Yeah, pretty much universally positive. All participants rated the S comarculation as satisfactory to very satisfactory. The Likert scores were high, like 4.6 out of 5 for how closely the simulation matched the real world.
That's good feedback. What about knowledge? Did the training boost their understanding?
Well, here's an interesting bit. When they looked at knowledge acquisition using pre- and post-tests, there wasn't actually a significant knowledge gap before the simulation started.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the scores went from 9.1 up to 9.5 out of 10. The p-value was 0.1, so not statistically significant. It suggests the participants, they already had a pretty good grasp of the facts, the theory behind LS management.
Okay, so the baseline knowledge was already solid, so where did the training make the difference then?
No, this is where it gets really interesting. The big gains, the significant improvements, were all in skill acquisition.
Okay.
The team checklist scores, they jumped dramatically from an average of just 39 at baseline, 01.
Wow, that's low.
Yeah, less than half. It went up to a remarkable 83.5 at 02 right after the boot camp. That's a mean difference of 44.5 points.
Huge difference.
Huge. And highly statistically significant, p less than 0.001. So the simulation clearly worked wonders for actually doing the right things as a team.
And did those skills stick? What about the 6-month check, 03?
Good retention overall. The average score at 6 months was 72. So yes, there was a bit of a drop from the immediate post-training high, but still way, way above the baseline of 39.
72 is still a massive improvement from 39. That shows real sustained impact.
Absolutely. It really speaks to Edgar Dale's cone of experience, doesn't it? The power of doing versus just reading or hearing, active learning.
Definitely. Did they see any difference in which skills were retained better, like technical versus non-technical?
They did. They found the technical skills, things like correctly administering the interlipid, following the protocol steps for S management. Those showed the highest retention, the sort of procedural muscle memory.
Okay, that makes sense.
But there was a partial decline, a more noticeable drop-off in the non-technical skills.
Oh, like what?
Things like calling for help early, effective communication within the team, situational awareness, those CRM, crisis resource management type skills.
Right, the softer skills, which are often, ironically, the harder ones to master and maintain under pressure.
Precisely. And maybe the ones that fade faster without practice. It really underlines the need for maybe periodic refreshers focusing on both kinds of skills, technical and non-technical.
Yeah, you can't just drill the algorithm. You need to drill the teamwork, too.
Did they mention any changes beyond individual skills, like system changes?
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Participants reported positive behavioral changes, like adopting a more systematic approach to emergencies, a sense of shared responsibility, and crucially, actual system improvements happened.
Like what?
Things like creating dedicated last rescue kits, easily accessible in the OR.
That's huge.
I'm putting up LS management flowcharts, making them visible in the OR and the PCU, so tangible changes to the working environment prompted by the training.
So wrapping this up then, this deep dive really shows that this kind of robust multidisciplinary simulation training can, well, dramatically improve a team's ability to handle last use.
The skills are largely retained, even at 6 months, and it can even trigger real system improvements. It just powerfully underlines that value of active, team-based practice over just, say, reading a guideline.
Couldn't agree more.
So thinking about this for everyone listening, what really stands out to you about how this continuous team-based training approach could impact your own practice? Especially thinking about maintaining those crucial non-technical skills over time, given that the study did find they faded a bit more. Something to think about.